It is a festive season, folks, and you know how we like to do it here in Kenya. It's all about family, friends, and most importantly, it is actually the food, you know, on her standards. The good news is that we have a chef here today to show us exactly how to engage our taste buds and make those delicious meals for the festive season. My name is Queen Tambori and welcome to the show. Now joining me is actually a beautiful chef who is about to tell us how we are going to cook for our friends and families during this festive season. So Marlene, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Please
too.
remove your mask so that we can hear you properly.
Yeah, sure thing.
Good stuff. So what are you preparing for us today?
Today I'm going to do meat dishes. I have jack chicken. I also have fish fillet. I have beef mignon and I have chicken skewers for you guys. Yes, and this is basically marinated. I did this last night just for it to have time for it to absorb the flavor that I put, you know, in all the dishes. Yes.
Is this the food that normally people like to eat during the holiday season?
Of course it is. We all know mishkaki. Yeah, mishkaki, and I'll grill it for you, and you can maybe have a taste of what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yes.
What is your fondest memory of Christmas?
So we used to do chapati once a year. Yes. We used to do chapati once a year, and we could wait for, you know, Christmas to reach so that we can have the chapatis. So, but right now, we are in the 21st century. We don't have to wait for, you know, Christmas to have our chapatis. Yeah, and also the meat dishes. We used to see that like once a month. Yes.
You are not alone. Trust you me, many people, including your host here, would actually look forward to Christmas to do many things, eat chapati, dress up, you know, take Fanta orange. I know there's so much more that we have, memories that we have about Christmas festivities. What about you, my dear viewer? What is that thing that you remember most about the Christmas festivity? And what is that food that you always look forward to eating, especially during the festive season? Talk to us. We are available at KTN Home across all social media platforms, but you can also hit me up at Queen Tambori on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. Remember, this is the festive season and we're all about meeting our friends, our loved ones, and on our standards today, we are yet to meet another guest who will also serve us a dish, but this time around it's not food for the stomach, but it is food for thought. I cannot wait to meet Njogu. Please join me. Let's find out what she's all about. Welcome, Anne, to Her Standards.
I'm so excited
Finally.
to be on your show. I'm very grateful. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for hosting us at the Kitisuru Manor. Today I feel like Oprah Winfrey.
A zen moment, you know, and everything is working for you.
Dreams are valid, you
yes,
know.
They are.
Yeah,
yes,
someone
they are.
else. But finally, thank you so much for agreeing to be hosted on our show.
Awesome.
How are you?
I'm very good.
How have you been? The last time I checked, you had a sore throat.
Yes, and it's gone.
It's
gone, yeah. I just woke up with it the day before my launch of Vanette's Heart, and it stayed with me, which was so unusual because I never go down. I can't even remember the last time. Touch wood. I think I need to touch the big tree.
Possibly.
Yes, yes.
Anyway, we're about to talk about your book at some point on the show. And then, of course, we just want to know exactly who Anne is during this season.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
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 So maybe before we do that, are you on social media? Because
Yes,
we want
I
people
am.
to engage with us.
Yes, I am. Yeah, so I am Njogu on Facebook. On Instagram the same. On Twitter I am Njogu1. Yes.
So you heard that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is Her Standards, and today I think we are extremely privileged to have with us Njogu. I'm just going to read briefly her bio, which is at the back of her book called Vanette's Heart, hoping that we can share more about this amazing book. I have read it, not everything, but I've read most of it. So Anne is a celebrated feminist. You can clap. She's a mother, she's a lawyer, she's a coach, she's a social justice warrior, she's a poet, she's an author, and she's an entrepreneur based in Nairobi, Kenya. Okay, I need to catch a breath. There is more. She's also the founder of CREAW Kenya, a national feminist human rights organization whose mission is to champion expand and actualize women's rights as well as social justice. So this is who Anne is in her own words, but I believe there's a lot more about her that she's about to tell us. Remember, we are available at KTN Home across all social media platforms. Alternatively, you can also hit me up at Queen Tambori on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Twitter. So we have Anne on the show, and the reason we have her on Her Standard today is because we believe you need to know her. And for very good reasons. Please hang on, stay with us until the end of the show to find out why Anne is probably one of the women in Kenya you need to know about. So Anne,
Thank you.
there's so much about you on the internet.
Yes.
Yeah, but I believe there's also so much about you that people don't know.
Yes.
So what is that? Who is Anne? Especially, you can tell us more about you, things that you'd be comfortable airing to the public, especially on Her Standard.
Absolutely. Thank you, Queen, for the work that you do.
Thank you.
You have no idea, but every show impacts hundreds of thousands of people, and that's your legacy. And it is how you touch women and the society at large that is most important about your work, using the power of media to change society, one show at a time. So thank you. So Anne Njogu is first and foremost, I'm a seeker.
Okay.
What do I mean by that? I mean that I'm constantly seeking with a lot of curiosity what talents are embedded in me and what God wants with me, because I know He puts in a lot of things inside. So I'm a very passionate seeker. I call myself a freedom seeker because I want freedom in all levels, in all the 13 area categories of life. In my intellectual life, in my emotional life, in my parenting, in my vision of life, in my career, in my health. I am constantly seeking. But more than that, I am a mother of two phenomenal young adults. Stephanie, who is a 28-year-old amazing woman. She's locked down in Australia at the moment. And Ted, who is an aeronautical engineer and who helps me run the Kitsuru Mana. He's one of the directors here, and he does a fantastic job of helping me out with things that I would never ever find myself. I'm also an attorney, and what I'm proud most about being an attorney is that I used my law for social good. So I have used my voice to give the voiceless a voice. And whenever I have done that, I have felt very, very, very fulfilled. I'm also a personal coach because I've come to understand that everything that I have learned, I need to teach it to somebody else. You know, life has no manual. So in my 56 years, I guess I have come across a lot of lessons. And I would like to teach that because, as one of my mentors says, Maya Angelou, what you get given, give, and what you learn, teach. So that is the essence of my personal coach journey. I'm also a social justice advocate, and that is what most people know me for. For years, I was on the front line, you know, championing change, and I'm very proud of the work that we did. I didn't do it alone; we did it as a team. I am also a poet and an author. I've just published my first book.
Congratulations!
I'm very pregnant, so several books are coming.
Several books are loading.
Yes, they're loading.
Very nice.
Yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. And I'm also the CEO of the Kitsuru Mana, which is a family business where we are today.
It's lovely.
Thank you.
We definitely want to come back.
Thank you.
Anyway, and like you said, a lot of people know you for your social justice activism.
Yes.
And in fact, you cannot talk about Njogu without mentioning that.
That's true.
Yeah, because they say everything has a genesis. So where did that come from?
Wow, that is a journey that started close to 20-something years now. That has got nothing to say anything about my age, because we're thinking 20-something years. How old are you?
And you look very young, by the way, and beautiful.
And it's okay, thank you.
Yes.
So when I finished my university, I practiced law for a short while before joining a corporate company, Madison Insurance. And I rose through the ranks, and I was the chief legal officer and, you know, very senior company secretary, chief legal officer, and I was very restless. And I was asking myself, is this all there is to it? There must be more, because yes, I was doing a great job, but I was thinking there must be more to life. I went to Sweden for a human rights training, and within 2 weeks I knew I wanted to use my law for community. And that is the genesis. And I have never looked back. It was one of the biggest unfoldings in my journey because it connected me at the intersection of my passion, my curiosity around making change, and women's rights. And that, by those, at that intersection, I just found myself at a level, you know, that I didn't even know I could soar to. Yes.
So dreams are powerful.
They are.
But
they are.
above all, you need to figure out.
That is true. Exactly what it is that you want to do. Yeah. And when you do, the universe always conspires and brings everything together. And you know, and that's one of the other signs that you're on the right path, because you just find things working for you, as opposed to you trying to work against the tide. You just find you're being pushed onto levels by forces that you can't see, but you can feel. Yeah.
You're preaching to the choir.
I know.
Anyway, please tell us more about CREAW.
Yes.
What was the idea behind it?
CREAW, basically, when we set up CREAW as 3 founder members who are lawyers, we were just feeling that we needed to be involved in women's emancipation. And we didn't even know where it was going to start. We just felt like we just had to start something. And while there are other vehicles that were doing something in that arena, we just felt that we wanted to do more. And initially, it came from a very far-fetched idea. We wanted to set up shelter homes. And I'm very grateful that we never went that way, because I came to realize later on that my energies and our energies were best placed at a strategic level, as opposed to catching the babies that were being thrown in the river, stop the babies from being thrown into the river. And we went upstream, and we went into legislation, we went into advocacy, and we went into community awareness. And the rest is, you know,
the rest is history. You are allowed to brag, because yes, you're talking about the Sexual Offences Act.
Yes, we drafted that with Emilio Thiambo and our juvenile network. We've done a lot of. I was involved in the constitution process. I was one of the delegates in Bomas, and of course we came up with very, very good provisions. If you go to the constitution, and one of the basic rights for a woman is the right to dress how you want to dress. That came from me, and it's something that I'm very proud of, because when we started the constitutional process, we were very vocal, as you can imagine. And one day, some people who thought they could stop us from making headway thought they could attack my dress. And I decided to use that opportunity to ensure that there was a provision in the Constitution that gave women the freedom to dress as and how they wished. And I think I look back at those days, and I'm very grateful.
You're very
for the
proud.
opportunity.
You know, it's funny that you'd mentioned that, because I think recently there was a member of parliament in Tanzania who was turned away because she was dressed inappropriately.
Yes,
saw that.
yes, I saw that.
And I even saw the pictures, and I rolled my eyes. I was wondering how inappropriate.
Trust me, it was not about the dress. It must have been something, but they used the dress because you know the dress has been women's dress has been
politicized,
weaponized. Yes, and it's a very it's a place of shame. It's a place of many things that are negative, and society has used that as a backlash against women who are you know, proponents of certain changes, and they will use that. So if I was to say something to her, everything that is hurled on your way is an opportunity to step up further. So she should just have thrown it back, or go back and make sure there is a provision in their constitution that will make it impossible for another woman to be thrown out. If you think about some of the things that men wear, and I'm not hating against men, you would be, you know, some of the things that really, let's be honest, some things that people have worn, and just simply because
names withheld.
I know. We should just never ever. We should think more about the intellectual contributions as opposed to something as whimsical as dress.
It should be a non-issue.
It should be.
And how much have you done for this country?
I haven't done it alone, Queen.
Yeah.
I've done it with people like you who helped me use the tools in their hands. And we did it as a community of, we call ourselves soldiers of justice. And whenever we came up with a good idea, we tapped into the network. And hence the networking is very powerful. When you find like-minded people who are thinking about one thing and then coming together with that common desire to bring it forth, it's so amazing what can be done. So I didn't do it alone. I cannot take the credit. I just know that I'm proud that we were able to step in the gap and do quite some very interesting things. Yes.
And do you feel like, has the country been kind to you? Have they been able to pay back
you know, when you
efforts?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. I think when you do the work that we do, you never set out with a goal of being thanked, and you go out with a goal of impact and creating change, and your reward comes in very different ways. When you start to see that the things you fought for, the things you paid such a big price for, are now no longer issues, you feel so satisfied. And whether or not anybody recognizes that, you are just happy to see that, wow, your years in the trenches were not wasted. And I think, more importantly, one of the big drivers and one of the big reasons why I was in the front line was because I felt that it would be good for us to pay the ultimate price so that our children can come and apply their talents, as opposed to our children coming back to the trenches. Because for how long shouldn't one generation be able to see that change has come in, and you know, the kids don't have to come and start at the same level. Of course, Kenya's case study is a very, very complicated case study, but we hope that every day, one step at a time, even as we take so many steps backwards every time, one day we'll be able to celebrate. It may not even be in our lifetime, but we know for sure the seeds that were planted by our struggle and those on whose shoulders we stood, because other people had paid the price with the sweat, blood and tears, and we only came to advance that which they had started. But one day, Kenya's story will be told in very good and glowing terms.
Yeah?
Yes.
Before we talk about Kenya's story,
Yes.
I believe that, it's just an honor. First of all, it's an honor to sit down with you across.
Thank you. It's
from
an
you
honor to
here
me.
today.
Yes, yes.
And,
And before I forget, the other joy is in seeing young women like yourself now coming to advance that which we started. What can be more satisfying? What can be more gratifying? Absolutely, you know. So it was not all lost. It caught, and that's, you know, when you see you gaining traction, you're very, very grateful.
Aww,
Yeah,
that's so humbling.
No, it is.
Yeah, and I think my producer needs to pay me.
Absolutely.
Anyway, we were talking about the history of Kenya, but I want to put that aside. I want to talk about your history.
Yes.
I mean, not many women actually have had an opportunity to be in the same picture with Michelle Obama and Hillary Clinton. That's a big deal. And I will keep asking you about it. And if you are writing a book about your life, that would be a chapter would be dedicated to that.
Yes.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
What I want to know now, Anne, is if you were to rewrite your story, what are some of the chapters that you will keep, and what are some of those events that you'd wish to remove from your life?
A very, very profound and deep question.
Yeah.
If I think about my life and the chapters that have been written, some in bold ink, some in, italics, some in underline, I do not think that there is a chapter that I would edit, because each chapter impacted me in a very different way from how another chapter impacted me. My character is a sum total of all those chapters. And if I was to edit any of those chapters, then I will not be bringing forth everything that I have brought from each and every of those lessons. And for me, my philosophy in life is that you either succeed or you learn. And when I look back in areas even where people might look at me and say I didn't succeed, I never look at them like that. I look back and I say, oh my God, the lessons I took from this are so phenomenal. So yeah, I wouldn't.
You didn't remove
I would just maybe wish that I stepped into my essence earlier, and that is probably the only thing, you know, that I wasn't held back. You know, I should just have done even more from an earlier stage.
You know what they say about people who read books is that they don't sleep lonely. We want to take a short break, and indeed you can see we are not lonely. We have been kept company by the amazing Njogu, feminist, lawyer, author, human rights activist, and we are just enjoying the conversation around this festive season. What are you up to? Talk to us at KTN Home across all social media platforms, or you can also hit me up at Queen Tambori. Tell us how your reading experience has been and how much you're enjoying the show. If you have a comment, do not hesitate to hit us up. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Her Standards with me, Queen Tambori. Thank you for joining us. We are privileged to have the company of Njogu, the human rights activist, the lawyer, and now recently the poet. There's so much to learn from her life and of course some of the things that she's lined up to achieve. Welcome, Anne. Welcome back.
Thank you so much.
Now you can tell us about the famous picture.
This one?
No, certainly not this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That glorious
me?
moment.
Oh
Yes.
my God.
Some
Okay.
of, two of probably some of the
Yes.
most powerful women in the world.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, when you start doing the work we do, you never even think there will be such, you know, I don't want to call it, how can I call them without trivializing them? You never know there are such treasures along the way, because you set up and set out with a desire to create impact, and you're on the front line just doing the things that you're passionate about. So that when I got the call from the US ambassador, and he said that I had been nominated for the International Woman of Courage,
Award,
and I needed to fly to the US, to DC, to receive it from the US State Department. I had not, I still remember that moment because I was out in the community doing my work. I must have been in Machakos, someplace in the grassroots. And I get this call, and the network wasn't that good. And I couldn't hear what he was saying. So I told him when I come back, I'll call him. And he was like, no, I need you to find network. What I'm telling you is very big news. And I was like, okay, as soon as I get, so the network somehow stabilized because we were on the road. And we stopped the car, and you know, he was able to tell us that I had been nominated for this. It was, Quinta, I don't even know how I can describe.
That was in 2010, right?
2010, yes, 2010. A moment like that cannot even be summarized in a sentence because first and foremost, you get overwhelmed. And you're also asking yourself for a moment, oh my God, somebody else noticed what you were doing. And that hadn't been the goal from the beginning. And I remember driving back to Nairobi thinking it must have been a mistake or something, and that the following morning I would wake up and find that, you know, this was a creation of my very fertile imagination, because I have a very fertile imagination. Yeah, but meeting the two women, also people who had looked up to for years, because I have had very many mentors. I have looked up to people have, you know, who inspired me from far. And meeting them in person, again, is another confirmation that when you set out to do something, the universe always conspires to bring them along your path. And meeting them, I think for me was like, oh my God, thank you God, thank you the universe, thank you the women who had given me the opportunity to work for them, and which unintended consequences was an award like that. So I was very grateful. I still am. Yes.
You also met Oprah?
Oh, Oprah, yes.
Today we are name calling.
Oh my goodness, I tell you, Queen.
Yes.
So how I met Oprah was also very interesting, and again another confirmation that whatever you set out to do,
Yeah.
you can achieve. Whatever the mind can conjure up in terms of desire, you can break it happen. So that happened in 2001, very early in my work, in community work. And I got a call again. I got an email actually this time from an organization in Chicago. They had nominated me for an award on community awareness. And this is because when I set out to do my work, when I was thinking about setting shelters, I visited several shelters across the world to see, so that I could bring the models here in Kenya. I even went up to Minneapolis, visited the Duluth model, went to Chicago, visited a real home, and it's the passion that I had and the desire to bring that back home.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they noticed that. And I guess their way of encouraging me, because that was very early in my career.
Yeah.
So just before my flight to Chicago, I remember I told them I would like to meet Oprah, and they laughed. They told me, Oprah, even us who live in Chicago, cannot get tickets to her show. But I was adamant. I'd been watching Oprah and I'd seen what she had done with the media.
Yeah.
That time she had a global followership of about 3 million only. That used to be the tagline.
Yeah.
And I would be like, if I can do even a tenth of what Oprah has done, I'll be so grateful. So I told them, I don't know how you're going to do it, but see what you can do. And true to word, a day before my flight, they said, we don't think she'll see you, but we got you 2 tickets to the Oprah show. And I felt like I had got, the meeting. And then just before the show started, now in Chicago, her assistant came to me and said, Anne, would you like to stay behind after the show? I said, mind! That's why I'm here. And when I was taken to the room, I was to meet Oprah, and she just, she just walked in, and she's a very big woman. She's very tall. She's maybe I'm very short also, but she's this, she'd been to Kenya the previous year, and we chatted like old friends.
You did
She's
chat
that kind, like for 30 minutes, and that was interesting, very interesting.
Oh my God.
But what would I do different now?
Yeah.
Because I met her, for me at that time, it was just enough to meet Oprah. What would I do now if I was to meet her today? I would have a clear goal of what I would like her to help me with in terms of, community impact. So for me, just having that was enough. And I'm grateful because it had been a dream I had for a long time that confirmed whatever you set your mind to,
you can achieve it.
You can achieve it.
Oprah, if you're watching,
yes,
just know that Njogu would like a second meetup, and she has very clear insight and ideas of what she wants to discuss with you. So
that's true. That's true.
We hope
that's
that happens.
It will.
Anyway,
we've already set it
we've
out.
already set it up. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Very
the
nice.
universe will align for us.
Anyway, and I think I was among the few people who were privileged to attend the launch of your book.
Yes.
And one thing that actually emerged, apart from having a really wonderful event,
thank you.
I hope we can have that up somewhere so that our viewers can also see how beautiful that was. It was very warm, very intimate.
Yes.
The song that ushered you on the stage actually was Whitney Houston's
Absolutely.
I Am Every Woman.
Yes.
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 And just listening to your story,
Yes.
you're talking about Anne being the human rights,
Yes.
the social justice warrior, the human rights activist, the poet.
Yes.
And we can see exactly how that is panning out in the interview.
Yeah.
So who is Anne right now?
So Anne right now is a sum total of all these people that make up Anne. But for this particular moment and purpose, I must say how grateful I am to be celebrating my first literary baby. And this is because I'm very pregnant with many more babies that I would like to bring forth. And I pray that God gives me the ability to bring them forth. So at this point in time, while I'm the CEO of the Kitsuru Manor, I am also a writer, an author, a poet, and somebody who wants to share a lot of the lessons that I have learned. So I am probably wearing more the teacher's hat as opposed to many of all those. But all those others are, the title teacher will be the sum total of every experience I have gathered on my way. Yeah.
Do you feel like time's up for activism, or that's a lifelong journey?
Activism is a lifelong journey, and what I realized is that everybody should be an activist for change, for whatever they desire in their country, and especially a country like Kenya. Everybody should be, you know, agitated by the things that don't work, and there are many. I think we don't want to go into detail, and that's why everybody should be proud to be an activist for social change, an activist for good, an activist for the change they want to see, as opposed to sitting back and moaning and groaning. And I think why we need to be activists is because we will continue bringing into office the leaders who we do not deserve, but we deserve them because we don't say enough about them.
True.
And therefore
That's
we
true.
continue getting served by people who keep on shafting us, who keep on you know, taking us on rides, and then we now come back and complain. So we need to be able to go to the fore. So it's a lifelong career.
It's a lifelong career.
It is.
Anyway, now back to this beautiful write-up. Who is Vanette, by the way?
That's a very good question. So this is a book I wrote when I was 17, going up to my young adulthood, up to about 22. And these are actually my raw and refined thoughts. This is my, almost like sharing your journal with the world. And that they have been published thanks to Ted, who found the manuscript on my desk. They would never have seen the light of day. But he asked me, Mom, do you understand how love is at the intersection of many challenges for young people? So Vanette was me at 17. And at 17, my mother will tell you that I discovered books at a very early age. And that was very interesting because they say that the thing that can change your life in any 1 year are the people you meet and the books that you read. And for me, books really changed my life. So I discovered books at a very early age. And whenever I came across a beautiful name or a beautiful character in the book, I just morphed myself into that character, even assumed their name. So I was this girl, my mother would go to the post office and come and say, there's somebody using our post office box. And I would say, what letters did you use? Catherine, Annette, Vanette, you know, everything. And you know, I said, those are my letters. She said, no, why are you're Anne? And I say, but I'm also Vanette, and I'm also Annette, and I'm also Catherine, and I'm also, you know, all those are the names. So Vanette was me at 17. Yes.
And why was it important and to express your feelings of love at that tender age?
I think I'm a very curious child, and one of my curiosities was around the question of love. Quinta, I was mesmerized by love. Love for myself, love for my God, love for my family, love for my sisters and friends, and love even for the other sex. But some of this I imagine because when I'm a late bloomer, and when I couldn't experience what my peers were talking about, I created that character and adopted it. And when I look back, I am very grateful because I was able to delve deep into the question of love. So this is really my heart, trying to understand this big question around love that really almost vanquished me, that almost torpedoed me, that left me with questions more than answers. And sometimes when I fell in love, I would go to that cloud 9, and just as soon as you had occupied your castle in the air, it came tumbling down. So that was what I was dealing with at that early age.
This book is actually really nice, and I think it's available online.
Yes, it is.
I'm just going to read a bit of the introduction so that you get a feel of it. I wish I could read all the poems for you, but I think we can read one. There's one actually that was written on the Christmas day. We'll read about it before the end. Now, so I'm just going to read this. Love. This is love. I hope I can bring my poetry voice or my recital voice. This deep emotion which reveals the delicateness of a heart so pure even as it seeks to understand that which it feels. Oh, to each their own. We carry on. These are words which resonate deeply with some of Vanette's own experiences. That constant feeling of love took her delicate heart by storm. She had butterflies in her stomach. She was giddy. She had goosebumps. She could neither sleep nor eat whenever she was consumed by this deep emotion. The fever ran deep. She obsessed. She messed up. She discovered the difference between infatuation and lasting love. Well, there's so much. I can't finish reading everything. But I'm bringing this up and because Vanette can be anyone.
Yes, it's actually you and me.
Yeah.
It is everybody who has ever fallen in love. It's everyone who has ever fallen out of love. It's anybody who has ever been vanquished at the instance of love. It is anybody who has soared the butterflies in the stomach when you're giddy with love. So this book is actually about everybody who has walked that path. It could be a young person who is just pondering the question of love like I did. But it could also be an elderly person because you see the heart doesn't grow old because the soul doesn't have an age, and that's why the soul is ageless, the heart is ageless. So you'll find truths in here like if you're young and truths in here if you're old the same way. Yes.
What would you tell Vanette today if Vanette was seated right across from you?
I love you, Vanette. And what I would tell you is that that which you were seeking is what you already were. You are love at the core. And I was only looking for it, thinking it was on the outside, without discovering that I was love at my core. And I would just be contented in knowing that that love that I seek and I sought was who I was at core. And that's what I'll tell Vanette.
Wow, wow, wow. You'll read for us at least one poem before we end the show.
Yes.
But what is it that is Anne where she wants to be? Or is there something still missing?
There's a lot missing.
Yeah.
And because I think I'm a dreamer who understands that we have unlimited potential. And I want to be able to die empty as and when I do, having brought forth everything that was put inside me. So I'm still very far from realizing it because I know there are so many things that I have lined up and you'll be seeing them in the coming days.
Yeah.
And some have not yet matured. Like the books, some of them are ready, some are not. And some of the works that will be coming through as a teacher. So I am not yet there, but I'm very grateful that I am here now. So this moment that I am in, I'm very, very grateful.
Thank you. And it's a festive season.
Yes.
Yeah, so any messages out there to Vanettes of the world?
Yes, yes. Keep
to Kenyans
searching,
listening?
But more importantly, search not on the outside. Go in and encounter the love that is inside you, the love that is you, that is the core of who you are. And journal, because this is like my journal. Okay. And when I look back, it's exactly how I was feeling at that moment. So I've discovered the power of journaling because when you journal, you're able to live your life in a miniature. And you can go back to memories and bring them forth. And the ones that were not good memories, you can be able to, take the lessons and move on. But more importantly, that becomes your autobiography. So I would like to wish you a Merry, Merry, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and that go out and reach out for your dreams and take action to actualize them.
Well said, Anne. Thank you so much.
Asante.
I hate end of interviews because I always feel like I'm hanging or
know,
there's more that I need to know.
I know.
But anyway, they say what has a beginning must have an end.
Yes.
This has been Her Standards with me, Queen Tambori. Always a pleasure to hang out with you every Saturday, 4 p.m. on KTN Home. Thank you so much for joining us today. We had with us the celebrated feminist, lawyer extraordinaire, mother, poet, and now recently she's also an author. And Njogu is in the building. Now she's available on social media. If you want a copy of this, all you need to do is just follow on social media and you'll be able to get hold of it. Remember, it's a Christmas season. We are feeding you food. Right now is food for the thought. Yeah, and we're very happy that you are able to stick with us up to this moment. Well, we have to finish. We have some food to eat. Yeah. So we're just going to say bye for now. We hope to catch up with you in the next episode.
So here I have chicken, marinated chicken. I'm going to grill it first because it takes quite some time to cook. this aside. Next, I have the vegetables. Remember, it's a balanced diet. I don't have my starch here, but starch will be here, so I'll have to blanch the vegetables. From there, I'll have my beef steak. Now for my fish, I'll do it later on because it takes like basically 5 minutes to cook. And same goes to my chicken skewers, aka mshikaki, and I'll put it later on. Vegetables. Everything okay? Meanwhile, I can be making tartar sauce. Tartar sauce goes well with fish, so just put this here. Carefully clean my bowl. Tartar sauce mainly consists of, I'll use this, green bell peppers. As I said, mise en place is very important, so I had all this prepared before I started cooking. And this is hard-boiled boiled egg, the white part. We're going to put our fish. I can see our pan is hot and ready. So we carefully I forgot to do something. You need to sprinkle a bit of flour. So just to ensure it doesn't stick. As you can see, it had already started sticking. Got that. Meanwhile, we can check on our chicken. I can see this is all ready. We will serve it. We'll have it here in the meantime. We need to check on our chicken. Just flip it again. So we're going to check the doneness. As you can see, this is medium, still juicy, not tough. And it's ready. So we'll put it here and serve it later with our accompaniment. And of course, the choice of the guest. Okay, so this is ready. From here, I can put my chicken skewers. As I said, I marinated this last night for it to absorb the marination and to get the flavor. So carefully place it. And slowly I can put we can use this oil, a bit of oil. You need to be careful when cooking the mishkaki because it might burn. So be watchful, turn it if needed be, because it doesn't take long to cook. Meanwhile, I can be preparing pepper sauce for my steak. This was part of mise en place. I had did this today earlier. So it's just a bit of pepper, grounded black pepper. You add a little bit of cooking cream. I have my cooking cream here, and a bit of beef broth, or rather beef stock. Be careful with the fire.